Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friends Church. What a way to start a morning like today. Thank you. We've been talking at Friends Church about a spiritual journey. Some spiritual journeys, and again, everyone's on their own journey. We honor everyone's journey. But the Friends Church journey that we talk a lot about is this idea that says it's not about what you mentally assent to, it's about a way of living. We often are in this world where it's kind of I against them. My neighbor's a a-hole, and so therefore I hate him, and he hates me, and we have this argument and fight. That's I against them. We can do it in our relationships, our core relationships. People where, our partners, and it's this sense of like, I am against you. We're not together. I am against you. We're enemies with each other. And the Friends Church model says the spiritual journey asks us to step out of I against them into the sense of we. The sense where you win and I win. We don't say yes to something where I'm going to win and you're going to be the loser. We don't do that. It doesn't matter if it's with your intimate partners, with your kids, with your business colleagues. The sense is we both want to win, and that becomes this spiritual well inside of us that if you're doing it well, starts to fill up. Over time, you can feel it's like, I'm not in crisis anymore. I'm not freaked out. I don't see the world as my enemy. I don't see this person as my enemy. And so you start to see it filling up until all of a sudden you realize, wait, I have more than I need. This is the top piece, taking water. When you take that energy that's, again, you've stepped out of the I against them into this place of we, and you've let that build up until you have more. And now you look in the world and go, how do I make the world better? For us, the spiritual energy of going up that model, that's what we're calling each other to. We often talk about how do you get out of the I against them? How do you build the we? Today, we're going to talk about what happens when you take water. All year, we've been asking for people to nominate water carriers. We tried to figure out a way to do this where we could read out all the different nominations. Because when I'm feeling like a little like ho-hum, I read through all the nominations and I listen to all the things that we've done as a community and I go, damn, that's inspiring. Instead, what we did is we picked a few stories. Water is one of those things you can't really measure. Sometimes it's a little thing you do to a stranger. Sometimes it's this massive thing you do. It's not something where you can say, like, that's more water than that. So this isn't a measure of who gave the most water. These are stories that inspired us. Stories that inspired me and Jeff. I was just saying this morning to Yannick, our sound guy, it's like, man, I listen to these stories and I just kind of look at my life and go, okay, Clausen, it's time to up your game here a little bit, buddy. Like, enough dirt biking, a little bit more taking water, okay? That's the heart of what this is. The song was, be thankful for the things that have come into your life. That was the song we just finished. Be grateful. I want this to be the song of your life because the people around you have been so touched by you. Not out of martyrdom, not out of, I have to do this or I'm a bad person. No, that's not how we do it here. Because I've done the work to get out of I against them, create a middle section that's healthy, robust relationships so that I have more to give. So today you're going to hear stories. Again, these are superstars, but they're everyday people. Look at it through the lens of, how could I have done something like that? Sound good? We are a community that takes water to the world. And today I want to introduce you to Justin Domshi. Come on up, Justin. Justin is our first water award person. I'm going to tell you a little bit why. When you start to hear it, you're going to have your mind blown. Good morning, Justin. How are you doing? This is Justin Domshi. He was actually nominated at a few different things. We'll talk about that. I didn't tell you that ahead of time, sorry. The reason you got this award is because of your volunteerism through Friends Church. tell us when you started volunteering. And we say, so one second, let me preach for a second here, because I'm a preacher, and that's what I do. We say
this
through.
Is my time, dude.
Fair point, fair point.
I hate the spotlight.
We say volunteer through Friends Church. Every person who volunteers, we say they give their time and effort to inspire you and all the virtual people. So when I say Justin inspires through Friends Church, that's what I mean. So now let's go back to your time. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
When did you start coming to Friends Church?
So we talked about this.
Yeah.
I had to verify with my wife because she has the best memory out of all of us, and also Jeff. And
Okay.
So we started attending back in 1998.
98.
Yes. So that was in the Safe days.
We started in 1997.
That's right. And so it's been 26 years-ish,
Wow.
more or less, that I've actually been attending here. And I started, of course, doing setup and tear down.
Okay, so we used to be in a theater back in the State days, and you had to like carry stuff up.
Carry that soundboard all the way up the stairs. You had the equipment for all the sound stuff that we had to go down a ramp, and you're terrified to take this up and down a ramp. You're scared it's gonna
that
fall
amp
on you.
rack. We
That
still have
amp
the same amp
yeah,
rack.
Exactly.
It's still
right?
just as heavy.
It's a big tower. And so, yeah, I mean, it was all of that, set up and tear down, getting the speakers out, all of that stuff.
But your volunteerism evolved over time.
It did. And
Tell us
so,
the main time when it shifted to what you do now.
Yeah, I mean, my dad and my parents actually used to attend this church as well.
Okay.
And my dad used to do like the audio recording. Well, he didn't do the audio recording. He actually did the duplication, where we recorded the message on tape, on cassette, and he would duplicate it. Yeah, this is the old days, right? I mean,
like literally
beginning.
like cassette tapes with like this
Exactly.
big machine he had.
CDs, and
Yep.
he did other volunteering, and so he actually had these like high-speed duplicators to be able to put this in, and he'd bring these back, and people would pick them up the next week and get those out, and then young ambitious Vince came along, and he wanted a website.
Just one second, young?
Podcasts.
Can you say it again? What was that?
Young ambitious
Thank you.
Vince.
Appreciate it.
With more hair, like we both had more hair, and so you wanted to do the podcasting.
Yeah.
I had experience, of course, more in IT and working on websites, things like this, and so being able to kind of pass the torch and start working on that was kind of the start of it, really.
Yeah. So it started with podcasting. So basically, we call him a virtual pastor because anybody who's ever heard a Friends Church service that wasn't here present went through Justin's hands, him and his team. We have about 23,000 people who access our podcast per year. It's per month, pardon me. All of that is through Justin's hands.
That makes me nervous.
Okay, so IT, where do you work now?
I work for a very well-known airline, in Calgary-based airline.
That rhymes with
No advertisement here.
Rhymes with Schmessjet?
Rhymes with Schmessjet.
So you know technology.
Yep. So I've always worked in IT. I've always been in the background of things.
Okay.
I've especially operations, and so I've always adopted that philosophy of if you do your job right, nobody knows you've done anything at all. And so I kind of like being more in the background, being kind of just that guy that was making sure things are running well. And I mean, that leads up to really what I'm doing even now.
Yeah. Because at the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, all of a sudden we went from people, we kind of had podcast, but it wasn't like it was now, and we didn't have any sort of streaming system.
All right. And it was a sudden, like, I think you reached out and you were like, hey, we need to get some video stuff going. I had experience in video stuff. I've always loved doing that since I was a kid. And so I remember coming in Saturday night because you weren't feeling well, and we were worried about what's the perception of that.
Am I going to have
so
COVID?
I came in, we recorded your message.
Yeah.
I came in the next Sunday, the next morning, and the band came up on stage. We had one video camera set up. We streamed that live, and then I hit the button we did the announcements. I hit the button to actually show yours, and then we all huddled in the back saying, okay, what do we do next week? And figure it out, right? And it was an interesting time because at the time we were like, it's going to be just a few weeks. We just got to figure this out over the next few months, right? Yeah. And that was it, not knowing how long it was actually going to be.
So why did you step in?
You know, it was more at the time. I think it was an opportunity for me because it was like, again, with my job, I had to take some leave.
Okay.
Airline got hit hard.
Yeah.
So I took the leave, and I was like, I had the opportunity and the time to actually work with you and do something. Selfishly, maybe it was a bit of an interest. Otherwise, I'm what you call a digital hoarder. I like to actually collect, because I've done this. I was that kid with the video camera on my shoulder, video recording my family and stuff. And I don't know, there's an interest there that I just really like to be able to collect that stuff and help out in there. And so the opportunity with the video streaming was like, that's right up my alley. I really want to know how to do this, and I want to be able to get the messages that our leadership team here does, to be able to get that out to the people that really need to hear it. And so I just really like the opportunity.
So the water for you was, I like doing it, I have time to do it, and there's something more here. This idea that something that's impacted me, I can get it to somebody else.
Yep.
Do you ever think about the 23,000 people who access this?
I honestly, no, not. I mean, I know you say that for the podcast, and that's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm glad that works so well. And again, as long as I'm doing my job right, nobody's sure I'm doing anything at all.
This is why no one knows about you, because you've always been in the background, and yet nothing happens digitally at Friends Church without Justin. Yeah. Can we put up the water award, please? 1 second. Can you stand up? Can you throw them? Inspiring our community one Wi-Fi connection at a time. Justin, on behalf of our entire community, thank you. We have one more thing. Yanni and Jeremy was on his team a couple months ago. They got deported. And Justin went and helped move them into their moving truck. And so they sent out something to say. We wanted to say thank you as well. You're a kind man. Thank you for taking water.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, brother. Folks, thank you.
Congrats. Hey, I want to invite someone up to give out another water award. You know him. You've seen him up on stage here before. He's part of our charitable giving team. He has been for quite some time. He also has served on our board here at Friends Church for many years in a past lifetime. It seems like now it's been a while. He's worked within our Switch department as one of the leaders that are facilitating incredible conversations and meaningful activities with our Switch students. But I want to present him a water award for another part of his water giving. And so I want you to welcome Trevor Dreyer to come up today. And welcome, Trevor. Come and sit down. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Trevor, I specifically, we wanted to honor you for a very specific kind of water that you've been taking for, I couldn't believe actually how long it's been that you've been doing this, but it revolves around reading to kids. Can you just describe what this looks like?
It's silly how emotional I get about this, but you can see I'm emotional because I really care. So I read to grade 1s and grade 2s. This is no great skill. I would like to say to everybody here, you could also do this if it's appealed to you. And I've been doing it, for 20 years. The only thing that interrupted me was COVID.
So just describe it. You go in once a week.
Twice a week now.
Twice a week now.
A couple hours each time, and there's generally 3 kids, so you read with them for about half an hour plus each. Get a chance to have them read to you, and then they get to pick a book that I get to read to them with a lot of enthusiasm. There's some great kids books out there. Oh my goodness gracious. That's always a fun adventure for me. So let's pick something different. I haven't read this one, right? So yeah.
Tell me how you started doing this.
So it was just someone who said that they were 20 years ago, they were looking for some help in their school with just some reading. And I'm like, well, I can read. What grade level? Oh, I got grade 1, grade 2.
You're a voracious reader, though. You love reading.
I love reading. And so, Jeff was asking, and I think this is really relevant because I read with the same kids throughout last year. And it was really interesting to see, because, it's been a long time since I've been in grade 1, how long it takes for us to connect the words to the ideas. This one little guy, Mitchell, just loves the Pokemon books. Oh my goodness, I know too many Pokemon now. But at one point he's like, oh, I can see that Charizard actually has fire powers. And here's the word fire. And it was that connecting
as he was reading the words.
He got it before, right? He could maybe read the word, but he wasn't connecting to exactly what was going on. And so to see,
Wow.
that was pretty cool.
Wow. When I first heard that you were reading to kids, and of course that's been a long time ago when I first heard, I was like, you just kind of read along with them. I didn't realize that many kids will sound out the words, but they don't really know what they're reading. Obviously we've all gone through this, but you get to be there often in those moments when all of a sudden they recognize, wait, more than just saying the word, I know what I'm actually reading. Yeah, this is so fascinating to me. Pretty moving, pretty impacting.
It's really something else to see. It also reminds me, maybe if you're not a reader, just be patient with yourself. It takes a while, right? Like even as an adult, maybe there's some books that you could read that would interest you. Yeah.
So you've been doing this 20 years. Do you ever get tired of it?
Oh, this was a trick question. There's some days I don't want to go. What, I thought this is a sainthood award. No, it's not. Sorry. It's a human award. And there's some afternoons where I'm like, man, I'd rather take a nap, right? But I go because I'm committed. And there has never been a time that I didn't enjoy going once I'm there. I will also tell you, like over the years I've morphed which schools I've been working at, and when COVID they were lifting the restrictions, I said, well, there's an elementary school that's a block from my house. Why don't I volunteer there? So I think one of the things that I've learned maybe over the years also to take the barriers down, right? I don't have to get in the car, I don't have to drive. That one's an easy one. And I didn't really have any connections at that particular school. So I just went into the office and said, hey, are you looking for volunteer readers? And I've done this in the past. Just need a police check and away we go.
20 years.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that there are even kids that will recognize you now.
Halloween, it was kind of cute. Are you Mr. Mike? I said, no, I'm Mr. Trevor. Kids are trick-or-treating at my door, and some of them, I said, I don't read with you. No, but you read with my friend all the time, right? And that's kind of interesting because you're in the community as well, which is really...
That's so cool. The legacy that you're building within these kids. They might never recognize how magic those moments are when all of a sudden all the dots start connecting. You get to witness it, and obviously you're building a lifetime of success for these kids. That's so remarkable. I often will look at people like you who find this special kind of meeting, and maybe Justin too, where you go, man, I love IT, I love books, I love reading. Oh, and here's an opportunity that kind of dovetails along. I've heard many people will hear different stories like this, these water carrying stories, and go, man, I wish I could find my thing, that really is perfect for me. I was wondering can you give advice?
Yeah, I try lots of stuff. Like that's the number one thing, right? I did some adult education stuff back with the mustard seed. I mean, that should really, but it didn't fit me at all, right? So just interesting in terms of and you see this with people who teach. God bless you if you're a teacher. I do like one-on-one reading. I don't know how you control 20 of them at a time, so good for you. But that age group really, for me, is something that I guess we could relate. That tells a lot about my maturity level. So that's interesting. But I had to do a lot of different things, and I still try a lot of things. The piece that's interesting to me, because the program just starts up again this coming week, I reached out already like mid-October. I said, when are we starting? So that's the other piece, I think, if you're going to carry water and make it effortless, that you still got to be excited about it. Sometimes you're not, and that's okay. Just go on to try something else, right? Like, I think that's the biggest part. Yeah, I said every week I don't always feel like going. I always enjoy it. It's always so much fun. And yeah, if you have a chance to read grade 1, grade 2 books, they're so cool what they've got going on for stories and themes, I tell you. The Creepy Carrot, who's read The Creepy Carrot? No?
I can't say I have.
Went on strike? Oh, that one's magic.
Oh,
kids.
we've had
There
a
we
few.
go.
Wow.
It's like, see what you're missing just with all these good adult books that you've all been reading? Nah, put them away. Yeah.
I was actually, I think that is worth repeating too. Let me just put an exclamation mark on it, that we all hope to find things that stay, causes that we can invest a lifetime in. But there will come those moments when you begin to realize, you know what, this might not be my thing. And it's okay to say, hey, I did it for a time. Mm-hmm. You say, this was fun, thank you, and you move on perhaps to the next one, rather than maybe dragging it on too far, and then you start maybe not enjoying it, hating it, dreading it.
It's not good.
Yeah. So being okay with quitting too, a particular kind of opportunity. That's awesome. Trevor, on behalf of the community here today, and everyone that's listening out there, we want to present you a Friends Church Water Award. We call this, we love big books and we cannot lie. Congratulations, pal. Yeah, give it here. Welcome. Congrats.
Okay, that was Jeff who came up with that one. That was good. Okay, we have one more to go. I'm going to invite Vonda up on stage. Vonda has been running our Friends Helping Friends program, which is a way to connect needs with people. But today, it's her husband, and her niece are being nominated for an award. And I want to tell you a little bit about it because some of you might not know a lot about it. Welcome. Well, yeah, let me push this up, though, as the sound person is going to start waving at me. How you doing, Vonda?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, so your husband's down there. You have 3 kids who are they downstairs or are they at hockey today?
No, my oldest is in Switch now.
Okay.
He's loving that.
Very nice.
And my 2 little ones are downstairs.
Okay, so I want to start the story of this water award with a phone call.
Yes.
Your niece called you. She'd just
Yes.
come back from Africa.
Yes.
Can you tell me kind of a bit about that call?
Yeah, so I think they had just gone to this family trip to Africa with the charity. Her mom works with the charity and she does as well. And they came back. They went there for, I think, a week or 2 weeks, whatever.
Okay.
And they were so excited to go there. So what the charity they went with does is they help the girls. They go to girls' schools. They go to 7 schools, and they help them get scholarships to go to university. And then once they go through university, they get jobs usually overseas, and then they have to sponsor the next group of girls to go through. And so it's kind of continues on, and it's amazing the difference it makes. So they were really excited. A bunch of girls were graduating. They were going to go to the graduation. They went to the graduation. But when they came home, they were a little bit disheartened. They felt a little bit like, oh, man, and I think it's because until you see the problem and you're there, it's kind of like it doesn't even exist. And when they went there, they saw the poverty, they saw the needs of the kids. And so they went to the school in one of the biggest slum in Africa. And they realized just how hungry the kids were and how impoverished the area really was. They actually had to go to training before they even went there just because it was so bad. And I think they're like, oh, this is amazing. We're getting these kids scholarships, but how do we get them to university if they're so hungry? Like if they can't, get through the school system. And the cool thing about this one school is that actually it's free for primary kids.
Okay.
So it's kind of a real outreach in the slum, in the neighborhood, to help the kids come and get some education for the girls. Yeah, it's a girls' school.
Wow. So slum area of Africa, these girls are basically not only going through grade school, but going to university. Yeah. This is a way to step ahead.
Exactly, yeah.
But again, my brain snaps onto school. I'm thinking what I grew up with, what we ate, all that stuff. So this is not what I'm picturing in my mind.
Yeah, I think, again, until you go somewhere and really see it. But what they do there, what's different, is actually has a dormitory. So some of the kids actually live at the school. Okay. And then, but they also open up the school to the neighborhood. So there's about 800 girls that go to the school. And then the school feeds them. The girls that stay there, they get all the meals, but the girls that just come get meals. And they get breakfast, snack, lunch, and dinner.
Okay. But at this point, the school had run out of funding?
Yes. So when Ali went with her family, they had no more funding to finish the school year. So they went in September, and they were like, we don't have money past. I don't think they had December, and they said this is a problem. And so Aliyah there and the girls, they did actually bring some money together and get them to the end of the year, which was amazing. But when they came home, they were like, this is a real problem, right? Like we have a solution that's really great going forward, but we need to help these girls now. And just seeing the kids, coming up to them saying, we're hungry. And they did that. They're like, we're hungry.
Wow.
They're like, yeah. So, and even the school board, like the administrators and stuff are like, yeah, we need to have some funding. This is a problem.
So 800 girls school, through your niece, comes to you and your partner. They are saying, we don't have all that we need. Yeah. What does your brain do when a school of 800 kids who are out of funding for food call you and say, hey, what does your brain do?
I was like, oh, well, we can solve that. Like, that's just a problem. Like, we can work a problem, right? That's just something that can happen. Right?
Sorry, 800 girls school for a year, we can solve that. That's your first
To be
thought?
honest, at first I thought it was all 8 schools.
Okay.
I thought it was 800 girls at 8 schools, and I was like, okay. But when she was talking about the problem, when she said, oh, we were able to help get them through, I was like, well, how much did that cost? And I think it was another $10,000 they needed for the end of the year, and I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like that seems doable. Like that's a problem that's solvable with money. Like we can raise money. Like
Okay.
that's not something that isn't impossible. And so getting so like, oh, and with the numbers, I was like, wow, for $10,000, so you can feed 800 girls for 9 months. Like that's pretty good.
That's a pretty good bang for your buck.
Yeah.
So your brain doesn't go into, that's big. Your brain goes into, okay, how do we fix this? How do we solve
I was
this?
just like, oh, okay. And then when I brought it to my husband, I was like, okay. So I did a little bit more research
Okay.
and tried to figure out the problem a little bit more and what that looked like. And then that's when I found out there was only one school.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that they actually had the kids being fed. And then I was like, okay. And then I was like, I knew that they weren't getting a lot from our standards. I think it's even the kids that were getting food
Okay.
that month had hunger issues. And so I was like, okay, what does a healthy, balanced diet look like? And what
For them.
Like,
Right.
how can we get more? Because even the kids that were getting food were saying they were hungry.
Right.
And so then we worked with the school to figure out that piece.
And what was the number that they came up with?
So we doubled the budget.
Okay.
Or no, we did. Oh, I guess we tripled, but the whole year was 15, and so then we doubled it. So we did 30,000, and the school set up a meal plan, and that also included the costs of increasing the administrative costs,
Okay.
and increasing, getting the food and transportation costs, and setting up all the meals were set for the year, and then.
Okay, so let's just put into context. You get a call that basically says, we need $30,000. What'd you do?
We raised $30,000.
Let's walk through it a little bit because it doesn't just happen like that, as you all know.
Yeah.
So, so your brain, and again, I've worked with you for years. Your brain breaks down these big problems into smaller steps, and you're like, okay, we just need to do this, and then this, and this. What was the first step?
I was talking to my husband.
Okay. And the conversation went like?
He said right away, and he's always like the most positive person. He's like, if that's what it takes to feed 800 girls for a year, there's like nothing I'd rather spend my money on. And that was literally his first thing he said. And I was a little nervous. I was like, okay, so I have a problem I think we can solve. And he was like, oh, that's not a problem. And I was like, yeah, I think that's not a problem either.
So for you both, you're very aligned in this idea that says we use our money, at least part of our money, to help people in ways that our money goes a long way. Is that why this one resonated for you guys?
I think it resonated differently for different people we talked to and for us as well.
Okay.
I think for me it was like more the heart. It was just like, oh, these girls are really hungry, and I could see a future where they could get university and they could get an amazing job. Like they also, so the group that went, this group that's called 10 Women Strong, and so they actually are all C-level women in Vancouver area that all sponsor these girls and help them get education and also help them get jobs after.
Okay.
As well.
So it's a larger mentorship
Yeah,
program.
it's just an amazing mentorship that they give these girls, and so they're getting they're making sure they get employment, and then they're actually getting money they send back home and get these next girls. And so it's amazing once they can get there, but just getting them there was like wow. And I was invited to go, and the cost just to go to Africa was a lot. And we ended up not going as a family. And then I was like, oh, well, we could put that money that we were going to put towards that trip. I don't need to go there. I'd rather put that money towards
Gotcha.
that, which made that easier too.
I remember the day you called me. You're like, hey, Vince, I have this water project. And I was like, sweet, what do we got? And you're like, we want to raise $30,000 for kids in Africa. And I was like, that's a solid number. But again, what you needed from us, from Friends Church, is you needed a way to get people to be able to donate.
Yeah. We
And so
like,
you widen this out to say, like, who in our lives wants to be a part of this?
we did, yeah, and that was great to be able to share it with people and get people excited about it.
Yeah. How long did it take to raise the money?
So by the time, it took a full year to work out all the logistics of it.
Okay.
And so it wasn't until the beginning of August that we had the go-ahead with everything set up.
Okay.
Through all the places and all the pieces, and then we needed it by September 10th. So we
Gotcha.
had about a month.
Wow. And you guys pulled it off.
We pulled it off, yeah.
Folks, big round of applause. Can we throw up the water award for me, please? Alihua, Vonda, and Aunt Sharon, We Eat Big Needs for Breakfast Water Award. Isn't it inspiring? Thank you very much, Vonda. Appreciate it. And Aunt, who wasn't? Alia lives in Vancouver, so we couldn't fly her in. Instead, we're going to donate that money. Everyone who gets a water award, we donate $200 from our community to whatever cause matters to them. It's our way of saying, you are incredible stewards of water. How can we support you? So, on behalf of our entire community, I don't know, how inspiring was that? That's pretty incredible, isn't it? This is all things we can do. This is all things you can do, and I can do, if we're willing. Just going to check with the band and see how we're doing. We're good? Okay, I'm going to pass it over to the band. Yeah. That was perfect. Use your own two hands. Jesus has this line. Someone said, hey, when you pray, and I'm going to air quote pray because that's a complex word. When you pray, what do you say? And he gave a few lines and he said this, I pray that we make heaven on earth. That our presence here in the people around us, we make heaven because we were here during this time of our lives with our own two hands. I want to tell you two more stories. We have two more honorable mentions today. There's a young girl, her name's Julianne. Can you throw up a picture of Julianne for me? Julianne had a rough summer. Quite regularly, her mom would come past her house, or past her room, and realize that her light was on in her bedroom when she was supposed to be in bed. And so her mom opens the door like moms do, ready to give her crap, right? And she comes in and she realizes Julianne's crocheting. She's like, what are you doing? It's like 10:30 at night or something like that. And this is what Julianne said. Ashley, our kids pastor, who just had a baby, her name is Ocean, I'm crocheting a hat for Ocean. As a mom, what are you going to do with that? You're just like, oh man, well stay up as long as you want, whatever. When Ocean was born, she had a nice red toque. Do we have it? There we go, multicolored toque. She has a little mobile thing on her mobile piece from a little girl who said, I can take water. I can do it with a little thing that I love to do, and I'm even going to stay up late doing it. Folks, can we give a big round of applause for Julianne Richardson? Okay, I'm going to do one more thing. She's actually downstairs in kids right now, so I want everyone to stomp your feet so she can hear it, okay?
That's awesome. I also want to give out another honorable mention. Look, we have a list of people, and many of the people I'm looking at right now, you've been mentioned in different ways, but we wanted to pick a couple. I want to mention another girl. She's in grade 9. She decided this year that she wanted to make a difference. She was a part of a school that believes in taking water. They might not call it that, but they take water. This school has been involved in a number of different causes. They've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for some really meaningful, hopeful causes in the city. One of them being Wigs for Kids. And I don't know if you've heard of this. There's a program where people will donate their hair, their actual hair, cut their hair, donate it. They make wigs that kids can then, who are fighting cancer, who have lost their hair through chemo and all of that, they can put on a wig and feel somewhat normal amongst all their peers. It's called Wigs for Kids. So this girl, she's grade 9, the last year in her school, she says, I'm going to go for it. She said she had seen other kids doing it in other years. She said, I'm going to go for it this year. So she went ahead. I don't know if you have a picture of her getting, okay, yeah, so this was maybe the before or after. I can't tell. Anyway, she had long hair. So anyways, they went through and cut her hair. But it didn't stop there. She, getting excited about making some kind of tangible difference. The school had participated in the Terry Fox Run, and supporting an organization, the Terry Fox Foundation, raises a ton of money for cancer research. And so she began beating the drums, raising support, encouraging other kids to get involved as well. So she raised money for the big Terry Fox Run, but also challenged other kids to get involved. And after all the dust settled, the school raised about $11,000 for the Terry Fox Run, crossed the $300,000 barrier in terms of total funds raised as a school. But every year they honor a student who led by example and by inspiration for all the other kids. And this girl was chosen to be awarded the Golden Shoe Award for her impact in motivating other people to get involved and make a difference. And she's a part of our own community here, part of our Switch ministry. I would like you to put together your hands and tell how proud we are of Aliyah McEachern. Sorry, where are you? Come on, stand up. Come on. Oh, okay, I don't want to force you, but okay. So, all the kids up there cheering her on too. Yeah, Switch kids are, yeah, so proud. So proud. Well done, Aliyah. Hey, I don't know what this does to you. Actually, I want to mention one other. We were going to mention him as an honorable mention. You're going to hear more about him. But he's a member of our community, and he is bent on raising funds for 3 different charities that have impacted his own kids who are on the autism spectrum. They've had quite a journey. He's raising it for an Asperger, Autism, Friendship Society, Kids Sport, and there's one other organization. This guy in May is going to run a marathon every day for 10 days. In 10 provinces consecutively. And his goal is to raise $1 million. He said, please don't say anything, because I haven't done it yet. And but anyways, you're going to hear more about it, and this will be an opportunity. It's going to end with the Calgary Marathon here in town. And I told him, I said, I'm signing up. I'll do a 10K. I'm not doing no marathon, but I'll do a 10K, and perhaps there'll be other people that could be involved in that. Look at, these are just some of the different stories that we hear going on. And we tell you, you're taking water, you're making a difference in the world, you're bringing heaven to earth. But we mean it. This isn't light. You're changing your pockets of your world with your own 2 hands. And I know that we could just sit here and just keep pointing different people. Some of you have written checks in such heroic ways. No one knows your name. But you're paying bills for some people who have nothing. You're making a way for some people to actually just hear this message of Friends Church. Some of you are serving on boards. Some of you are just giving time making coffee. You're doing selfless acts, not because guilt and shame awaits you if you don't, not because of some kind of fear of punishment, but because you frickin' can. You have more capacity in your life to do it. So I'm going to say here as we close off, is chances are you've got opportunities all around you. Some of you are doing it already, and we applaud you. We wish we could just go down the road and say, yes, yes, yes. But if perhaps you're here today, and you've maybe been coming out for a little while, you're here still talking water, taking water, you hear all this kind of stuff, and you're going, oh, that's interesting. I've never really thought about it that seriously. Perhaps today will be just enough inspiration for you to just, maybe even this week, to look for an opportunity to just help in some way. Maybe it will be an occasion for you to say, I've been saying for the longest time, I'm going to sign up to volunteer for this one thing that I've been thinking about. Maybe this week you'll actually do it. I got a little email from someone who had heard about me donating plasma. They emailed me and they said, I went and donated blood for the first time. And I just went, yes! They said, I've been thinking about it for a couple years. Finally got up the guts to do it. I go, yes! That's sometimes all it takes is just that decision. I hope today, in this group of people and everyone that's listening online, every one of the 23,000 will download this podcast, that you would think deeply about something you could do that could create a little heaven on earth with your own two hands. It's our prayer. Thanks for coming out today. Wasn't this great? Congratulations again to all our Water Award winners, to everyone else. Have a great day, hey? We'll see you again next Sunday.